All right, can everybody see my screen that says, do you want to be an RSCDS teacher? Yes? Yes, okay, good, great. So this is a little overview of what you need to know before you decide to start this process. It's a little bit about the process itself and some ideas of what you could be doing now, even in isolation, to get yourself started. Now, I started dancing in 1977. I got my teacher's certificate in 1982, and I've tutored teacher candidates for many years, and I became an RSCDS examiner in 2016. If you have questions, just put down your space bar and ask them as we go. Tell me if you can't see the screen or if I talk too fast. And so let's just plunge right in. The first thing is to know that teaching skills and dancing skills are not the same thing. You can learn to be a fabulous dancer, but that is not the same thing as learning to teach dancing. They're different. And before we had other alternatives, sometimes people would take the candidate class because what they wanted was personal improvement and personal feedback on their dancing, and that was a big part, still is, of the candidate class. So if you just want to dance better, this is not probably the right thing, because now you can take the advanced class, and Delaware Valley has all kinds of advanced class, and there's also something called the Dancing Achievement Award, which is a short-term series of classes, and then you dance for an assessor who gives you I guess they call them an adjudicator, who gives you feedback on what your dancing is and how close you are to meeting standards at the intermediate, advanced, or very advanced level. So that's the alternative that's available now for personal technique training rather than doing the candidate class. So you need to understand what it is teachers do. They do not just stand at the front of the class, like Janet here, and read the instructions from the book. That is not what the teachers do. They put time into preparing lesson plans before the class meets. So to teach, you have to expect to be able to analyze dances, figure out which pieces need to be taught, which steps need to be polished, maybe design an exercise or two to cover the stuff that's hard in the dance. You pick the music, then you present the lesson, and you coach and you encourage and you keep everybody happy and interested and challenged all at once, and it all comes out like a duck on a pond, right? All serene above the water and everything happening underneath where they can't see it. It's usually also the teachers who plan the dance programs and MC them. It's also the teachers usually who plan demonstrations, at least where we are. It's always teachers who do that. Teachers have to keep learning, and they keep acquiring dance materials unless you happen to belong to a branch that buys them for you or has a branch collection. Northern Virginia branch has a collection, but nobody uses it because we all buy our own. And you have to keep up with the RSCDS standards, which do change from time to time. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into presenting the classes. So what do you need to start? The basic thing is you have to want to teach, not just dance better, but teach. And it isn't just the same as telling people what to do, although that's not a bad aspect of it. But you have to love the dance form, and you have to want to make other people love the dance form. And so you need experience with the dancing, and that is why you got to be familiar with what I call the canon, the RSCDS body of work, the dances, the formations, the steps, some of the history. And that's why teacher candidates are required to be RSCDS members. And by the time you take the training courses and sit the exams, you have to have been attending classes for 3 years. They do occasionally waive that, but most of the time that's the basic requirement. So what is the process? It is a 2-part multi-year training where you learn the essential skills for teaching dance movement. It gives you a foundation. It prepares you to teach movement, to understand the dance form. Some people call it the cookbook method, which sounds dumb, but it isn't. It is based on methods that have consistently been shown to work. And so it's worth, you can always branch out afterwards, but it's absolutely worth learning the RSCDS approach. So how's it work? The training program has 5 units, and guidance for all of this, by the way, is on the RSCDS website, and I'm going to take you on a little tour of that at the end of this. So parts 1, 2, and 3 lead up to, or unit 1, 2, and 3 lead up to part 1. And the first thing you do is take a written exam on dance history and theory, which is based entirely on the RSCDS manual. The manual. So you don't have to make any of it up. It's not based strictly on your experience. It's all in the manual, but it is not an open book test. So you do have to learn it. And it's only parts of the manual, and in the syllabus, it tells you which parts. So unless there are extenuating circumstances, you're meant to do this before you start the training classes for the rest of it. It's offered twice a year on the same day worldwide. And it was going to be in February. It got canceled because of COVID. They're hoping to do it in the summer. And then the next one after that would be in October. And you register for it about 2 months in advance. And the test procedure has been updated in the last couple of years so that you don't have to have a blue book and a pen. You can do it on a keyboard, which most people are much happier to do it on a keyboard these days. So there's unit 1, and then we have units 2 and 3. Unit 2, there's a 15-hour minimum training course. It's usually more than that you take. And then you take an in-person graded exam of your personal dance ability, your ability to dance to RSCDS standards based on the 12 pre-selected, they call them prescribed dances that you learn, you brief them, and you dance them for an examiner. Unit 3, after a 25 minimum hours, it's almost always longer than that, 25-hour training course, you take a graded exam of your teaching ability, where you're assigned a day or 2 in advance, 1 step and 16 bars of dance to teach to a couple of sets in 20 or 30 minutes. So it's not a test of your potential, which it used to be. It's whether you can do it now. Can you demonstrate what you want them to do? Can you tell them what to do? Can you say it? Do you see what they are doing? Can you give them feedback so that they improve? Can you prioritize what you need to present and finish on time? Those are some of the aspects that the examiners are looking for. Now, the courses for unit 2 and 3 are usually combined, especially locally, because nobody can dance all day and practice their dancing all day, day after day. So it's usually a balance of the 2. So you pass that, and congratulations, you have part 1. That's your learner's permit. Then you go on to working on part 2. And the essential part of part two is that you get out and you teach. You teach real classes for at least a year. Any level, any number of dancers. You do have to use some RSCDS material, but it doesn't have to be all RSCDS material. But you get out there and teach, we hope, with a mentor who is helping to bring you along, giving you ideas, giving you feedback, helping you to develop your skills. And then you write up part 2, you write up unit 4. It's a summary of your teaching experience since you got your part 1, with 6 detailed hours of lesson plans, along with how you felt it went and what you might have done differently. It's a self-assessment summary that gets sent in for feedback. It's not graded, but it does have to be accepted. And when you submit your unit 4, you also submit your application to take the test, the exam for unit 5. Which is an in-person graded exam. There's a 25-hour training course for that. 25 hours, again, is the minimum. And this time you're assigned a whole dance, and you're not told what to teach, just the dance. So you analyze the dance and present it to 2 or 3 sets in 40 to 45 minutes. And if you've analyzed the dance correctly, you will pick the right things to focus on. You will show that you can polish the essential steps, you can give feedback, you can give the class, keep the class moving along, you can demonstrate it correctly, you can make it fun. You do all that, and congratulations, you have your teacher's certificate. Go out, go thou and teach. Now this modular system was set up about 2003, so it's been running for almost 20 years. There was a strong effort to make the results of the exams less subjective. This modular system replaced the previous 2-part system, which was a preliminary pass and full certificate. And for each half, there was a written exam, a dancing exam with 12 dances, and a teaching exam. And for the prelims, it was, 1 step and 16 bars. And for the full certificate, it was a written exam and a dancing exam with 12 different dances and teach a dance. And the problem with it was that if there was one part that you were not strong in and you didn't pass that part, you didn't pass any of it. And to repeat, you had to repeat the whole thing. So now it's modular, and if there's one part that isn't quite up to snuff, that's the only part you have to repeat, which I think is a big improvement. And it gives the feedback is so much more focused than just pass fail. So I think it's really been improved over the years. So courses like this, they teach them at the TAC Summer School and the RSCDS Summer School, which are both canceled, we expect. TAC will be canceled this year. If they run next year, RSCDS usually does it every year, TAC does it every other year, and they're planning to do it next year. It's really 8 very intense days with an exam at the end. The courses at TAC and St. Andrews are actually fairly similar. If it's a big class, 10, 12 candidates, you don't get a lot of chances to teach. You can see 12 candidates, 8 days, not a whole lot of chances to teach, but you get oodles of observation practice. You normally get to hear what the tutor is telling the other candidates, and you get the fun of teaching people that you don't already know who believe what you say, which is really fabulous. Of course, in Delaware Valley, you have, I can't even count on both hands how many tutors you have. So you have lots of local tutors to run the course over weekends, over multiple weeks. You have friends who will come and let you practice on them. Some places do a very small class, and then the candidates go somewhere else to take the exam. So 2 years ago, Calgary only had 2 people who were going to take exams, and that's not enough for an exam center. So those 2 people studied with their tutor at home, and then they went to Boston and took the exams there. And then there's some remote areas like St. Petersburg in Russia. They import a tutor and they do their own intense course, and then an examiner comes and does the exams. So either way, between getting, before you do intense courses like this, it's really great to get some practice teaching, and especially between part 1 and part 5, units 2 and 3 and unit 5, get out there and teach and get some practice. So there is another training course that is almost finished being developed. It's called Core Training for Instructors. It is a parallel path. It's not equivalent to the units 1 to 5 teacher certificate. And when you graduate from it, you're called an instructor and not a teacher, trying to keep them separated. But it's a way to learn the skills for teaching the dancing without the emphasis on your own personal dancing ability. There's no exam. There is an assessment from your trainer and a certificate of completion. So this path addresses the need for a lot of groups, particularly, believe it or not, in Scotland, where the teachers are aging out and they need people to lead classes. They need people to lead the social classes and the general classes, and there isn't anybody. So it acknowledges that in this day of YouTube and videos, the teacher may not necessarily be the only model for what the standards are, for what the dancing looks like. So in the course of developing this new system, There's no course that you go away to take. There's no course in place. It's like an apprenticeship with an experienced trainer, a local apprenticeship. There is a syllabus, and you have to make sure that you're doing the things that are in the syllabus, and it's on the RSCDS website now. And the trainer that you hook up with has to take the training course for the CTI trainers. That's still under development, but that should be ready pretty soon. So, and in the course of developing this new path, they built a document that actually lists what you need to know to teach. It's amazing. It's much greater detail than I can go into tonight, but I'll show you where that is on the website. And there are other things to help you. There are various homegrown manuals on how to teach. The thing is, the society has a manual on how to do the dancing. And the manual is how to do the dancing. It doesn't have a manual for how to teach the dancing. So there's lots of individual things. Jeffrey and Cecily have a fabulous book that they wrote 30 years ago and have edited multiple times that is just full of this kind of information. So what can you do now? Here we are stuck at home. We can't dance together. Keep dancing. Work on your own technique. Watch yourself. You may not have a gorgeous studio like the Jackolettis do. Maybe you have a sliding glass door. You know, at night, turn the lights on, open the drapes. Don't care what the neighbors say. Dance at the window, dance at a mirror. Watch yourself, and don't agonize over it. Just use it as a tool. You know, it's a feedback tool. You can go to Zoom classes, even if the only space you have to dance in is the size of a dish mat. I mean, go to the Zoom classes. The Northern Virginia ones, we do some technique. Boston, New York, New Jersey, Albany, there's all kinds all over the East Coast, and there's some farther west as well. So go to the Zoom classes and watch them. Even if you're not dancing for some reason, watch them. Watch videos of dancing, even if you're not going to the Zoom classes. Look up the dances on the Scottish Country Dance database and watch the videos from the Newcastle festival, the incredible footwork and phrasing, and are they doing what you would expect of excellent dancers? And then start thinking like a teacher and watch the videos that are not the Newcastle festival. Watch the ones that are labeled good or reasonable or social, and start training yourself to see the details that pop out. What would you pick to improve? What are they not doing that you think they should be doing? What's critical to enjoyment of the dance? What would you let go if it were your class? What would you pick to work on? Thinking like a teacher, not just receiving the class as a dancer. You can download the syllabus and you can buy the RSCDS manual. I'll show you where the syllabus is on the website. You can read the manual. You can read the syllabus. There are no surprises. You can get the manual as a digital file, which I recommend for a multitude of reasons. One is it's more recent than the printed copy. It has changes in it that are not showing up in the printed copy. And you can search it so that if you're looking for something specific, you can find it just like that. There are updates to the manual on the RSCDS website, and I'll send you a link for that. So then once you have the manual and the syllabus, which tells you which parts of the manual you need, then you can get going studying for Unit 1. Okay. You can anticipate what you need to know for Unit 2. The instructions for all 12 dances, music for them, and videos of them are all available online. And you can kind of sort of learn them by watching. You can certainly practice briefing them, which is something you'd have to do for the exam. You can bribe your teachers to put them on local programs once we start dancing again. You can Zoom with a mentor or a friend and practice your briefings with them. Once we can get together, you could have friends over and just dance through them. If you are going to do these locally, the teachers will go over them in plenty of detail, but you are expected to know these before you start the course. And if you're going to go away to one of the summer schools, you are absolutely expected to know them before you start the course. So learn them. Uh, and if you're really ambitious, you can start looking at what the assignments might be like for Unit 3. There's an assignment bank on the RSCDS website of sample exam assignments. They are, the examiners are not limited to giving you exactly what's in this assignment bank, but they are very typical and very much like what you would get. So it gives you a good idea. So like this one, I don't know if you can read it. The step assigned is pas de basque, and the formations are set twice and turn and dance poussette. So obviously pas de basque is the step you'd need for that. So there's all sorts of things you'd need to know about how to teach that. And the other thing you could be doing now is find a mentor in your local area. Jane and EB, I'm not sure who you'd pick in Tucson. I don't know who the teachers are in Tucson, but there's lots of guidance for tutors on the RSCDS website. And your tutor doesn't, your mentor person doesn't have to be local. You know, you could get in touch with Terry Harvey and say, would you help me with this? And I'm sure he'd say yes. Yes, he's nodding, good. So it will be more convenient if it's somebody in your home group once we start dancing again, but it doesn't have to be at this stage. Okay, any questions at this point? I'm going to copy all these links and stick them in the chat. But I'm not going to stop sharing yet. I have to find where my chat is. Meeting controls. When I'm sharing screen, I don't know how to do that.
Stop sharing, do the chat thing, and then go back to sharing.
Oh, that's boring. I'll put them in at the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm surprised you can't do both, but
yeah, I'll put them in at the end. Okay, so okay, can everybody see the RSCDS website? I'm sharing that. Okay, so the area you want to look at is the one here called Learn. And there's two sections. There's resources for teachers and teacher training. So let's see what we have online under teacher training. You have to scroll way down. Here under see what we have online, just so you can see this. This guidance notes, arranging RSCDS classes, introducing, there's all kinds of great stuff here. There's under e-learning for teachers, this Enjoy Scottish Country Dancing, which I think you can also find if you just search for it at the main home screen. This is that document I was talking about that is a list of what you need to know to encompass in your teaching skills. And it's the most concise listing of it I have ever seen. So it's really excellent. So I'm going to go back to this. So that was under all of this. So this is on this main learning page. There are sort of three kinds of approaches. This basic teaching skills is a weekend introduction to teaching skills. It's really just an overview. That's really for people who are thinking, is this something I want to do? And it introduces a lot of those skills. It can be very intense or it can be very lightweight. It depends on who's teaching it. But it gives you an overview of what the teaching skills are like. This is where the core training for instructors is. When you click here, see our plans, they've actually put the syllabus on that page. So you can see everything that's involved in that training. They've sort of skimmed the skills off of Unit 3 and Unit 5 for teaching dances, really. And then this, Learn in Depth, this is the information about the teaching certificate program. So it's broken up by units, but this one, forms and information. There's so much on here. General information for all units. The syllabus is here. Teaching Scottish country dancing guidelines. This is excellent. When I first saw this, I thought this was the beginning of a manual on how to teach dancing, but it's really a manual on how to take the exams, how to prepare, what you need to learn, and how to organize the exams. So that's also an excellent document to read. Now under Unit 1, there's an appendix in the syllabus that tells you which parts of the manual you have to read. Here under Unit 2 and 3, this has the document that has the official instructions for all 12 of the dances. So you may already have all the RSCDS books, but I would use these instructions because they've been edited and updated for clarity. So I would use these. They've also recorded music twice through for each one of these dances. So you've got something to practice to that's the right tune. All right. This is where that Unit 3 sample assignment bank is. So you can get after that. It's the way this is organized still confounds me. This is all under Unit 2 and 3, which is also over here. But here under Unit 2, they have videoed all 12 of the prescribed dances. So yes, and they've done it more than once because the original videos for some of them weren't really up to RSCDS standards. So all 12 of them here under the prescribed dances, if you want to know which shoulder you pull back, that's where I would look at that. And if you do it that way, it may not be the way the examiner wants, but the examiner will accept it because the RSCDS has published it as this is how you do it. And again, the teaching tracks are here as well. So there's lots and lots of stuff on the website. It's not necessarily laid out in the most convenient way, but it's not bad. You know, at least it's all there. If you teachers are interested in being a trainer for the core training for instructors, right now you should email the Education and Training Committee and say that you want to sign up for the training. There will be information on, for the tutors, the trainers, how to administer that program. And there will be a 6-hour training class in how to administer that program. And I think it's going to be so that people who've been tutoring for a long time don't try to make these candidates do the same thing that they would do if they were doing for the teaching certificate. It's different. But this is their last chance to put some quality control on this new path because there is no exam associated with it. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and take these links and stick them in the chat. And one of those links is a link to the Scottish Country Dance database in case there's anybody who doesn't know about the Scottish Country Dance database. You look up a dance, you can see if it has a video, you can watch any number of videos. Listen to a squib of the recording, see a crib note of it. It's a fabulous resource.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has a question they want to ask. Pam had put one in the chat that I see. How do you see this playing out with COVID? I don't know, Pam, if you want to.
Nothing. There's nothing happening while we still have to deal with COVID. Forget that. Dancing is going to be one of the last things that comes back. We have to touch each other and we get exercising and we breathe hard. I don't want to dance in a mask. I don't want to have to go hit the hand sanitizer in between every dance. I mean,
I guess I don't want to read into Pam's question, but I guess some of the things you mentioned were someone could start preparing, say, for Unit 1.
Oh yeah,
learning those dances. There are things you could be doing.
Yeah, that's why I said, what can you do now? You can keep dancing, so you keep your body in shape. You keep your muscle memory going about how to do pas de basque and how to point your toes. And And you can start working on Unit 1. I mean, why not?
This is Paul. I'm wondering about the dimensions of a set, because the bigger the set is, the harder it is for beginners. So what do you do to, as a teacher, to control the dimensions of the set? In terms of
Well, if your beginners can't get across the set, you make the set smaller. A standard set is 7.5 feet wide, and I'm 5'5", so I usually lie down on the floor and then indicate a foot on either end of me would be how wide you'd want it to be. If you want, when I'm tutoring candidates, I usually make the set bigger than that, because for experienced dancers, excellent dancers, the bigger the set is, the more they can stretch out and show how beautiful their dancing is. So for beginners, and if the floor is slippery, you make it smaller. If the music, if you can't control the speed of the music, you adjust the size. It's all very much how do you control the size of the set to make your dancers happy. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
And if you've got 6 sets in a room that really only accommodates 3, you make them smaller.
Other questions, feel free to unmute yourselves.
I'm going to shoot out a sort of a philosophical question. I've done a couple of workshops like this, which I did one at the TAC summer school, and several people asked the following question, and I don't really have an answer for it, but they were wondering whether the new core teacher qualification would sort of put the teacher certificate out of business, because you don't have to travel and spend all that money going to a summer school. You don't have to take a test and have all that pressure. You don't have to work so hard. There's definitely going to be some people who would like to do the teacher certificate, but do you think it might be put out of business just because not enough will do it to justify having candidate courses?
We won't know for a couple of years at least. I've spoken to some people and described the CTI, and they said, "Oh, I don't want to do that. I want the real thing." So certainly there are many people who relish the challenge of dancing as well as they possibly can, and who want to be able to demonstrate that in teaching. And so I think there's absolutely still going to be a place for the teacher certificate path.
Well, I hope you're right. I agree with you.
There are lots of little groups particularly in the UK. 12 dancers, 16 dancers, who mostly shuffle, who are not interested in technique. They just want to go to the weekly class and have fun. And so they need somebody who can get them through the dances so they have fun. And I think it's better for somebody to be there to get them through the dances than not. And this alternative path, if that produces leaders who can, particularly from within the group, who now have the skills they need to step forward and say, "Yeah, I can do this," I think that will be a good thing, because that will keep it going. I will say that I was on the committee that did the first development of this alternative path. It's been at least 3 years in the making. And it was in response to a very clear outcome of the surveys that the RSCDS did, what was that, 5 years ago? They surveyed all the branches. What do you need? What do you want? What changes would you like to see made? And one of the top one was, don't have so many barriers to learning to be a teacher. Expense, time involved, personal danceability, make it so that more people can lead dancing.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I am the outsider of the group, Evie, and while I've been dancing for some while on the West Coast, now that I'm in Tucson, we have a lovely but very small group. We have one teacher within 100 miles. She has been teaching for a number of years and would like to take an opportunity off occasionally, quite reasonably. So we have a need to get someone else able to take the class when that happens. However, the lack of other classes around means that while I'm willing to do this, and I did pass the exam, Unit 1, I'm a bit stymied, partially because I'm afraid over 70, I don't feel like I could do the intense course, nor would that necessarily be the best use of the RSCDS resources to train me at this point. But I would like to do it perhaps all online. Can I get the certificate completely from here, knowing that we have no one locally who could be the mentor?
Your existing teacher can't be your trainer?
Well, she could, but I don't know that she is looking for an opportunity to take training in how to do this. And I thought I understood that she would need to take that training.
She would need to take that training. It's probably going to be a 6-hour online class.
I see.
But the CTI itself, your trainer does not have to physically be present.
Okay.
So it could be anybody that has taken the training. You can get in touch with the Education and Training Committee and ask them to find you a trainer. And then you can have Zoom chats. You can have, if you can video yourself teaching, then your trainer can watch your videos.
Okay, perfect.
That was one of the intents of the way this was structured, was to be able to make it for people who are not where they can have a trainer watching them. Now, mind you, I might be in Tucson in June. My brother and his wife are having their 50th wedding anniversary, and if COVID allows, I'm going to the party.
Oh, you would be so welcome to join us. We do have a really tiny little class where we dance in masks and gloves. And I know, but it's 4 of us and we are all very careful.
It's not still down at the university, is it? Is it still at the U of A?
No, we're not at the university. We're at a separate building at this point. We don't have a connection with the university right now.
That was the Bakers. Yeah.
No, we're at sort of a warehouse.
Yes.
And Gail has just joined us. Gail, Carrie is our.
No, I've actually been here. I just now figured out how to get my video and stuff going.
Oh, welcome.
I'm a server.
Oh, good.
So Ellie, I'm the teacher here, the certificated teacher here in Tucson. And so EB, you know, we've talked about her doing the certification, and this new program seems like it's perfect for what we're looking for in our group, is having some alternate teachers.
Well, read the stuff on the website.
Yeah.
And right at the top of the website, it says email ENT, and there's a mail to link if you're interested. So get on the list.
Definitely. Will do. Thanks.
We're becoming experts in 2-couple dances.
I dance in my front room. I'm becoming an expert at 1-person dances.
That's a lot more fun with 4 people.
I was going to say, learning how to do 2-couple dances, you're pretty lucky for, for right
We
now.
are spoiled.
Yeah. Well, I got my first shot, so
Ah,
Eleanor, you got yours, right? You got the first one.
me too.
Yes, I
So
got my
far.
first Moderna shot. We're due for the other one sometime soon, 2 weeks or whenever. But
Mhm.
there's so little vaccine everywhere, it seems.
Yes.
Thank you, Ellie. This was really interesting. A lot of work.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. I'm gonna save the chat and we'll also send the links in our weekly email.
Oh, great.
People who couldn't
Thank you.
come, if you're you may be here because you're on that list or maybe because you saw it on Facebook, but if you're not on our email list and would like to be, you can let me know or let Cecily know or Terry or anybody you know in the branch and we'll get it to the right person.
So
So
Jeffrey is he's an examiner. He's been an examiner a lot longer than I have, almost longer than anybody else, period. So Jeffrey, any comments?
The only comment I'd make, and I think this is something that often throws people when they get into the training process, is that the RSCDS teacher certification process is about teaching people how to dance, not about teaching them dances. It's not about writing dance programs. It's not about how to run a fun social evening. Those topics might come up peripherally, but it's really teaching the form of the dance. And when you prepare that Unit 5 dance or those 16 bars for Unit 3, it's about how to get people to dance it well using the RSCDS technique. And a lot of people don't quite get that. They think it's just kind of about being a dance leader, and it's really quite different.
And that's more what the CTI is about, being a dance leader. It does involve how to teach the technique, how to use somebody else in the class. If you can't do a pas de basque, but somebody else can, how to use them, how to analyze a dance similarly to show what's the part that needs to be explained and how to explain it. But it's more about, it's more drifting toward the teaching dances.
Oh, interesting. Hmm.
Okay,
all right.
stop recording.
Yes, finding